What up? It's your boy 899 here with my first ever wrestling review video. This is for Clash of Champions. Well, let me just talk about the show overall. It felt like Raw. I don't think it was up there with Backlash, but it wasn't terrible. But it wasn't. I don't know. I really don't know. But let's just get into it. I'm gonna start out. I started watching it at the middle of the pre-show, so I'm gonna just start off while I started off, and that's at the Alicia Fox and the Nia Jax match on the pre-show, and it was kind of a slow match. And as this match is going on, and they telling me what the story is supposed to be for this match, I'm thinking this doesn't make any sense. Or else, I wouldn't say it don't make sense. It's just kind of stupid. So one of your friends, a person that nobody knew was your friend until after or until later on, I don't know. One of your friends gets into a wrestling match, and then they lose. So you get mad at the person who beat your friend in a wrestling match and want to wrestle them. That kind of doesn't make sense. People lose all the time. People just don't be like, like, say I'm playing basketball and I'm going against somebody one-on-one, and then they beat me. And then one of my friends get mad at me like, oh man, I want to fight that dude now. How you going to beat him in one-on-one? That's messed up. I lost. I took my L. I wasn't as good as the person I was facing. That's no reason to get mad and throw a box at somebody. I'm not really a big fan of Alicia Fox. She got potential. I wouldn't say I'm not a fan of her, but I'm not a fan of who she is, like her character. It's just awkward. It's like bad. And like, I don't know. It just doesn't seem right. Well, after this match, Nia Jax won, of course. And after this, they started plugging the network before the show came on. You know, like, hey, let's plug the network while everybody is watching the pre-show on the network. Well, I know that they put the pre-show on YouTube too, but I'm pretty sure that whoever's watching it on YouTube and whoever's watching it or the people who's watching it on network know what the network is. So it kind of doesn't make sense. The network's been out for 2 years now. That's like YouTube the cutting off advertisement. That's like people going on YouTube, and one of the advertisements for YouTube is for you to go to YouTube. Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense to me. Maybe it makes sense, but to me, it doesn't make sense. So, also they do the panel with what's it called? The kickoff panel thing with Jerry King Lawler, Booker T, Control. What's her name? Lita, and Renee Young. And then as I'm looking at it, I'm like, wait a second. I watch the Talking Smack sometimes. And I know Renee Young is on Talking Smack. She always talking about Team SmackDown is the best and all stuff like this. Yet she's on Raw. She's on a Raw exclusive pay-per-view talking about how she's technically putting over everything that's on Raw, even though she's supposed to be a SmackDown girl. Oh, SmackDown's the greatest. They're the A show and all stuff like that. Even though you're on the Raw pay-per-view, telling us, man, that was some really good stuff going on Raw a few days ago. Wow, this was incredible. That doesn't make sense to me either. Kick it off as soon as the music, the intro, and all that go off. The New Day, Big E starts yelling into the microphone, and the New Day come out to the ring, doing their thing, and then they do a little promo. He just was like, "Oh, welcome to Clash of Champions. This is where all the titles are on the line," and that's it. That's really what all they were technically saying. All the titles are going to be on the line. And the first title match is going to be this one, and we're going to win. Technically, they spoiled the whole thing for us. Technically. Might as well should have just said Roman Reigns is also going to win. And, yeah. But, before I go on to what happens after this match, did y'all see JoJo? That's all I got to say. But as soon as the match starts, the club start going ham, taking out everybody. They took out Big E, they took out Xavier Woods, they started throwing Kofi around. And that's where they should have been. And I felt like they should have won, but they didn't. And I still feel like, for some reason, they don't want Carl Anderson to show his skill. It's weird because he's good at what he does, but for some reason they just won't let him do nothing. Every time he goes against John Cena destroys him. Every time he's in a tag match, he's usually the one who gets all the offense off on him, and he'll usually hit like that jumping kick, but they don't let him do much else. But just as I said this dude pulled out, Kofi Kingston was going for a double axe handed springboard and got caught into a spine buster. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, they might not be showing all his skill, but he's still getting some stuff in just to show you, like, hey, I'm good, because that was nice. It was like there was a part where it looked like the New Wave was going to win at the beginning, and I was going to be like, oh no, because like Big E hit the big ending on Carl Anderson, and then Gallows pulled Big E out, and I'm like, oh, maybe, just maybe, the club could win. This match didn't get that much time, and I don't know what happened after that. After after Gallows pulled Big E out, the network glitched and went back 5 minutes into the beginning of the match, and then I had to get out the app and get back on it, and then I saw Big E hump in the air and Kofi Kingston and New Day won. TJ Perkins, the Cruiserweight champion, he has a promo, and he said that he was born with the clutch gene, but he wasn't ready. But he's still nervous for what's to come, and that's going against Brian Kendrick. Now, I did not know that being clutch was a gene. Maybe I should try and see how I can. Do I have the clutch gene? I probably do got the clutch gene. I don't know. You never know. But hopefully my son gets that gene. That way, in the clutch all day. We get to Brian Kendrick versus TJP, and TJP debuts his new theme song, and it sounded like a video. When I was looking at it, it was like, I can't describe how it was, but it just sounds just like a video game. Like, the whole thing is like video, like not even like a current video game, like 1988 video game type music. It's not bad, it's just kind of weird. Like, I didn't really expect that, but it was cool though, like how everything went with the music almost. They started bringing in some of the stuff from the Cruiserweight Classics where you have to do shake hands, but Brian Kendrick would not shake his hand, and then the match started, and then they would already start to go at each other. But even though they started going at each other at the beginning, I felt like this match didn't live up to what the Cruiserweight Classic was. Maybe it was just me, but I felt something was missing in this match that we got in the Cruiserweight Classic. Even something missing in this match that we even got on Raw. I feel like the Raw Fatal 4-Way Raw match still gave a lot of remnants to the Cruiserweight Classic, but this match just felt not as good. It was a good match, no doubt, but it didn't feel equal to the Cruiserweight Classic matches. But there was this part where TJ Perkins went for the triangle drop kick, and Kendrick moved out the way, and he just threw the apron on top of TJ Perkins. Like, he caught him and just threw it on the pounded him. And I was like, this dude is really smart. That's crazy. Because very few people could think yeah, people call spots, but some spots are just spots that you're like, who thinks of these things? And Kendrick is good at spots like that. Like in the Cruiserweight Class, when he put dude's mouth onto the ring on the rope, and then kicked the rope and jacked his mouth up. Not many people gonna think about doing that. You have to really pay attention to your whole surroundings and do stuff like that. And there was a couple botches, or at least I hope there were botches, or not. I don't hope that. It was a couple botches. There was a botch, a neck breaker, and then whatchamacallit went for a chicken wing face buster. At least I was hoping he wasn't. It turned into a chicken wing atomic drop. And I was just like, something's not clicking in this match. I was enjoying it, but I felt like I wouldn't say it wasn't clicking with me. It felt like it wasn't clicking between them two. Like something was missing. It was still a good match because they started picking it up a little bit. TJP did a Hurricane Rana off the top rope outside the ring onto Kendrick. And then Kendrick pulled out the sliced bread later on to the match, and then TJP kicked out, and it would end with TJP winning. It was a good match. TJP retains the Cruiserweight Championship, which I kind of expected. But then after the match, Brian Kendrick headbutted TJP. He was like giving him a hug, thought he was showing some respect. He was like, yeah, I respect you. You beat me fair and square and stuff like that. But he just said, bink, hit him right in the neck, right there. And that was just how they ended it. We get into Cesaro versus Sheamus, and I can't really get into this match as much because I kind of missed parts of this match, but it wasn't the network's fault. It was something going on around outside. But I felt like this series would have been something else if they would have added stipulations to it. I felt like, yeah, they could have did like maybe 2 or 3 of the if they knew if WWE knew from the start that they was going to do all 7 matches, they could have at least made 3 singles matches and at a certain point switched it up and made it stipulation matches to keep it more fresh. But they really didn't. They just did 7 of the exact same matches over and over again. In the middle of the match, Sheamus did a regular backbreaker, like pick the person up from the side and drops him on his knee. And my code calls it the Irish backbreaker, which the Irish backbreaker is like he grabs him by like almost like the rock bottom and hits him on his knee. Those are 2 different moves that look totally different. They have the same result but different looks. So as soon as this happened, then that stuff that happened outside happened, and I missed the rest of the match. But then I come back, and everybody is in the crowd knocked out. Like, not the fans, but Cesaro and Sheamus are out on the ground, and the ref is like, we got to end the match. I'm like, what just happened? And then Sheamus is getting pulled away, and Cesaro's like, oh, I can wrestle with one arm, and stuff like that. And I'm like, what just happened? And then they show a replay, and Cesaro clothesline Sheamus into the crowd. That doesn't make any sense. Well, that just doesn't seem to make sense. So I've seen people get clotheslined to the crowd numerous times. Maybe I was missing something, but I don't think getting clotheslined into the crowd is going to result in you having to just end the match. Something happened to Cesaro, something happened to Sheamus, but none of us. I don't know. I really don't know, and that's really what most of this night seemed like. It seemed like a bunch of stuff that just didn't make sense to me. Like, really. We had the triple threat match between Bayley and Charlotte. Bayley, Charlotte, and Sasha. Well, no, we don't. We have a segment. I don't know why I said match. And right before, as soon as the segment started, is Bayley like just holding? It was the creepiest thing I've seen in my life. Bayley holding her wristband, just like. But anyway, yeah, that's how it started. But while she was doing that, you could hear somebody in the background going 3, 2, 1, and I'm like, am I supposed to see this right now? Bayley's staring creepily into a headband while a man is counting. That doesn't sound right. Technically, Charlotte's just like, oh, you couldn't beat me, and you can't beat Sasha. You's a piece of trash, and I hate you. That's technically what the whole thing was about. To Zayn versus Jericho, which was not a bad match at all, because of course it's Sami Zayn and Chris Jericho. And there's this spot where, you know, Sami Zayn goes for his through the rope tornado DDT, but for some reason when Sami Zayn went forward, Chris Jericho like collapsed like in the middle of the move, and it just looked weird. Like Chris Jericho was just like sliding on his knees while he was getting DDT. He was like but it wasn't a bad match, and at the end the boy Chris Jericho won. And then we go straight into a Kevin Owens segment, which makes sense, really. Kevin Owens and Jericho are intertwined right at this moment. So if you want to go from Chris Jericho to Kevin Owens, it's not a bad idea. I don't know what's going on with Kevin Owens. I mean, with Mick Foley, but he needs something. I just want him to ride around with a desk on the back of a trolley, just riding around random places or in a random area with a desk. I want him to just do that. Him just walking around in a suit and talking about how he wants the real Stephen Man to come out, even though we've seen the real Stephen Man for the longest times, and I don't know why he's doing that. But this segment starts with Kevin Owens, I guess, praying or watching the network on his phone or something. Kevin Owens was doing something, and Mick Foley was just standing behind him like, I'm just like, you alright, folks? And Stephen McMahon was doing the same thing, except it was more evil, because, you know, it's Stephen McMahon. Anyways, all Owens did was this. He was technically building himself up and putting Rollins down, you know. But Kevin Owens is doing pretty good. Like, I don't know. This dude, he knows what he's supposed to do, and he just knows how to do it better than almost everybody else. We get into the Triple Threat Divas match, which it wasn't that bad of a match. Now, I'm not going to say that's really most of the show. Most of the show didn't have any bad matches. It was just matches where it was just like you expected it to happen this way, and the pace of these matches were almost all the same. And anyways, Michael Cole announces that Bayley started wrestling. As Bayley comes down to the ring, her music hits. Michael Cole says it was 8 years ago that Bayley started wrestling, and only 8 years later she's at the pay-per-view going for the title and stuff like that. From what I remember, the story of Bayley in NXT was that she was a newcomer, not only to WWE, but a newcomer to the whole business of professional wrestling, and that she was like very. She was a wrestling mark. She was a mark for a big wrestling fan who just got into business and wanted to be in WWE, and that she never wrestled before WWE, and that she was getting guidance from everybody around her and stuff like that. She was just very excited to be there. And then my coach just says, "Oh, she's been wrestling for 8 years." That's just like, why did you tell us that? Now you just made everything that we learned in NXT not mean anything. You just told us that what we learned in NXT about Bayley is the fakest and not even relevant to nothing. I don't know why my coach did that. And the match starts. Nothing else happened with the entrances, and I just want to know, can Dana Brooke just for once, not be there? Just not be there. I don't know why she's there. She's awful. I think even she knows that she's awful. Charlotte knows she's awful. Mr. McMahon knows she's awful. Yet they still put her on TV to do awful things. Maybe that's why she's on TV. Maybe her co-character that she's terrible at everything. But I don't understand. I swear that at one point in this match, Dana got confused and started cheering for everybody in the match. She started going like, "Yay, Charlotte!" Then Charlotte got thrown out the ring and fell on the floor, and she was still clapping. What are you clapping for? The person that you're supposed to be cheering for is not doing anything. Who was she clapping for? And then I heard Bayley suplex Sasha, and I'm like, what are you doing? You're clapping for the wrong person. Maybe it's just me, but I swear that that's what she was doing. She most likely forgot that she was supposed to be cheering on Charlotte. Maybe she doing something. During this match, they got a beautiful, like perfect moonsault from Charlotte onto Bayley, and if you know, I was doing the moonsault gesture. A beautiful moonsault from off of the turnbuckle onto Bayley and Sasha, and Charlotte does do some great Kurt Angle-esque moonsaults. In the match, Bayley winds up losing to a big boot again, and I'm wondering why does Bayley keep losing to a big boot. And like, I understand like there's those moves where like you want to protect that move and make it look strong and stuff like that, but it just seems weird that Bayley seems to be the only diva, the only person in the entire WWE that loses to a big boot. Big Cass uses a big boot and never wins off of that. Well, not really. But in Charlotte big boots a lot of people, yet it seems to be that Bayley's the only one who loses to it. Everybody else usually loses to natural disaster, natural something, and the figure eight. But Bayley's the only one who seems to lose to a big boot. People have been kicking out of super kicks, and Charlotte's big boot looks no different from a super kick. Rusev versus Roman Reigns, and I keep reading this wrong, but it's Rusev versus Roman Reigns, the promo. And before it starts, they say that this is a very personal rivalry, and that it is Rusev fighting for the honor of his girlfriend, of his wife, I should say, Lana. Now, this would make sense if this was SummerSlam, but that was the story for SummerSlam, and they showed almost the exact same promo that they showed at SummerSlam. Almost the exact same promo. Now, from what I've been watching since after SummerSlam, is I thought the story was that Roman Reigns just injured Rusev. Rusev is coming back for revenge after getting put on the shelf by Roman Reigns, and that's why they're fighting. But on the side of it, on the wayside, it seems like the story is just that Rusev pops up and Roman Reigns is like, "Oh yeah, I still want your title. Give it to me, boy. Give it to me." And that's pretty much technically what the story was. It was technically Roman Reigns being like, "Yeah, I got suspended, and I know the crowd's going to be all mad if I win the world title after coming off suspension. So let me lose to Rusev and then beat Rusev 2 months after getting off suspension." That makes sense. I think they'll like that. It's slow pace to start, and I kind of expected that because it's Roman Reigns and Rusev, and Roman Reigns is one of those people who usually has those slow paced matches that build up at the end. It's usually Roman Reigns who does those matches. I would say him and John Cena, but John Cena's slowly starting to get out of that. But it's mostly Roman Reigns right now. But Rusev hit Roman Reigns with a move. I can't remember the move it was, but when Roman Reigns kicked out at 2, Rusev hit the 2002 or 2003 Christian. Remember Christian was a crybaby? Rusev started bouncing around like he started bouncing around and yelling and screaming. I'm like, this dude I swear he's gonna cry. And then once again, and then like As the match keeps going on, Roman Reigns spears Rusev, goes for the pin, and Lana, I swear that another man came from backstage, or a man came out the crowd and grabbed the ref and slung him out the ring. Because if you didn't see how fast the ref slid out that ring after Lana pulled him, you would think it was a man who pulled him. Because Lana's strong. Her and Rusev benching tons now. That's what they did at their wedding. That's what I heard. I heard that the wedding was Rusev and Lana just doing squats and bench pressing for an hour, and then once that hour was up, they bent the dumbbells into rings and put it around their fingers. That's what I heard. Now, from my sources, I don't know if my source was right, but my source was there, and he told me that they were bench pressing and doing squats until they got tired, and they just wrapped the dumbbells around their hands. That's what I heard. Anyways, we're into the main event, or should I say the main event promo? I keep messing that up. And it is Rollins versus Kevin Owens. Rollins versus Kevin Owens. And I don't know what's going on with Stephanie. Stephanie McMahon does not know who Stephanie McMahon is. The writers of the show do not know who Stephanie McMahon is. We don't even know who Stephanie McMahon is. If she's a heel or is she a face. Because this is technically what Stephanie McMahon told Seth Rollins on Raw. In my own words. I didn't know anything about Triple H turning on you. But if I did know, I would agree with everything he did. And by the way, I agree with everything he did. And you suck. Now donate to charity. Stephanie McMahon been saying this whole time, ever since Triple H turned on him. I didn't know what he was doing. But if I did know what he was doing, I would be acting the exact same way that I'm acting right now. I just don't understand, bro. I just don't understand. We get into the match. Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens. And off bat, Kevin Owens tries to outspeed Seth Rollins, which is not possible almost. That's almost impossible because Seth Rollins is fast as cheese. But Kevin Owens, sliding in and out the ring with the swiftness. And then it's crazy. Just watching this match start off and stuff like that. I'm just watching this match and I'm just like, the way Seth Rollins does everything just looks so fluent. It's crazy. Like, if you watch the beginning of the match, you can see how swift and almost perfect he does almost everything. It's almost like how Shawn Michaels was. If you watch Shawn Michaels matches, it's everything he did was easy, just came easy. He didn't look hard to do. You could tell when somebody's doing something that is something they're not used to doing or something they really can't do. But with Seth Rollins and Eddie Guerrero and Shawn Michaels and people like that, it just looks almost like a dance to them. And that's crazy. And then just watching this match, just watching Kevin Owens just be Kevin Owens is just the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life, to be honest. He's one of the best sarcastic heels I've ever seen. And these are just things that Kevin Owens has said throughout this match. How are you the architect when you don't even have a foundation? He had Seth Rollins in a headlock and told him, when I'm done with you, you're going to fade to black. Get it? Fade to black. This dude, it's just he could just talk trash for the whole 3 hours of Raw, and nobody would have any problem with that. I don't think nobody have a problem with that. I wouldn't. But anyways, as we get into the match, an avalanche gut bust into a frog splash, and it looked like the gut bust looked brutal. Could look like Seth Rollins landing kind of on his side and could have broke a rib off of it. I was like, And then Owens, they go to the outside. Owens sets Rollins onto the turnbuckle, onto the announcer's table, and he gets on another announcer's table. The ref is like, Owens, stop what you're doing, stop it. And Kevin Owens says, suck it. Just told about suck it and put himself through a table. I'm just like, and then after that, Seth Rollins telling Kevin Owens, suck it, then hits him with the pedigree. And I'm like, these two dudes know what they're doing, no doubt. How reminiscent it felt to an indie. It wasn't exactly like an indies match, but the just them doing, because when it's in WWE, when they're wrestling, it's mostly just wrestle, get the match started, get the match over, do a couple taunts if you're a heel or stuff like that. But when you watch an indie show, if you watch Lucha Underground, something like that, they'll do what they need to do. They'll wrestle, but they'll also be having fun and doing like crazy things. And that's what this match seemed like. It seemed kind of reminiscent to an Indies match, where they were telling each other, like if you ever watched the Young Bucks match, you'll know what I'm talking about. With Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens just telling people to suck it while they're supposed to be beating each other up. The ref getting told to suck it. It would have been even more outrageous if the ref told Kevin Owens to suck it. The ref just like, that's the greatest taunt of all time, no doubt. The suck it. Ref gets knocked out after a pump-up powerbomb. A pop-up powerbomb where Seth Rollins falls into the ref, and then Rollins gets thrown into the rope. Kevin Owens throws him off another pop-up powerbomb. Seth Rollins catches him into a pedigree. The referee still out, so Rollins could not get the win. Then Chris Jericho distracts Seth Rollins and starts attacking him while the ref is out. Even though I never understood, even though the ref is down on the ground, his eyes are still open. He's still checking stuff. So if the ref cannot see that a man is running around the ring beating up on another person, I don't know what's going on. About 2 minutes later, Stephanie Man comes out with another ref distracting Seth Rollins. I don't know how that distracted Seth Rollins. That's kind of a weird thing. And then he gets hit with a pop-up powerbomb and loses the match. And Kevin Owens retained, which I'm not mad at. But like I said before, overall, I gotta say, it wasn't a bad show, but I would not say it was better than Backlash. I would give it a 3 out of 5. Yeah, 3 out of 5. Because it wasn't bad. It had some good matches, but I just didn't feel as good as Backlash felt. Especially since almost nothing happened, really. The only thing that happened was Roman Reigns winning the United States Championship and everybody getting told to suck it. But nothing really happened. Anyways, that's it for me. I'm not going to do this too often. Like, I'm not going to do this for Raw and SmackDown and all stuff. I'm probably going to most likely just do it for pay-per-views. If I keep doing this, depending on how popular this gets. But anyways, that's it for me. Too sweet. Wait, no, too sweet. The reason I get this messed up because it's too... Anyways, too sweet. Deuces.